The thing that I'm trying to get you to say though, we know that you hate Trump. That has been abundantly obvious.
Yes,
I
we
actually
do.
think that Trump out of office
For good reason.
was a good thing for your show because it allowed you
It's
to
not about my show, Candace.
No.
That's insulting.
No.
That's insulting.
I'm saying because people that
Can we
weren't
just-
watching your show that you didn't let me finish. You can't be
Okay,
told
but-
my sentence I didn't finish.
No, but you keep
I was going to
implying
say
that
that
I'm.
people that did not watch your show because there was so much dedication to talking about Trump during those years, then were switched onto your show
But-
because you moved on and you started talking about other topics that were crucial and I think brought in more of a conservative base.
Can we
That's
just?
not insulting
Can
to
we
say.
just? Yeah, it is.
Triggered? I'm triggered! What is good, YouTube family? It's your boy Rashad with the Black Anomaly Rising channel. Today, I'm going to be discussing Candace Owens triggering Bill Maher. I've never really liked Bill Maher because he's a smug a-hole, and I just don't like people. In general, people with personalities like his, at least to me, are just not likable. You know, he's very anti-religious for anybody who knows anything about Bill Maher. So he essentially got kind of like, I mean, almost like started his whole career off of his Religulous movie. I'm sure he did other stuff before that, but this was kind of like one of his claims to fame, you know, and even in this video clip, I mean, this is like an hour-long podcast, something like an hour. It's an hour and 25 minutes. He literally found a way to make fun of religion in this podcast. So, of course, Candace Owens triggering him just brings me so much joy. I'm like, won't one of the beautiful black queens do it? Anyway, y'all, look, this clip is kind of long. It's not that long. It's like, I don't know, somewhere around 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and react to it. I will be interrupting and giving a little bit of commentary. I'm going to try not to do it too much, though, because it's a little long. So I want to get through it without this video ending up being 30 freaking minutes. So let's get into it.
Ran a state, became the vice president. What's the next natural progression to think that you can be president? And also because he kind of he wants to separate his brand from Trump, which I think he feels like got murkied, and there's some genuine bad blood there. So I actually.
Oh, there's definitely
bad
some
blood.
bad blood.
Yeah, but
there.
I don't think any of them are running to be Trump's VP because they all trashed him on the stage. Vivek is the only one that Trump would consider.
Trashed him.
Trump.
They kissed his ass.
Trump?
Yeah. The only one who trashed him was Chris Christie.
Chris Christie trashed him. DeSantis said nothing. To be fair, DeSantis didn't say anything the whole night.
They all raised their hand when they said if
DeSantis did the.
Well, okay, but they raised their hand,
Facts.
except for Christie when they said, would you support him as the nominee? I mean, that's pretty amazing for a guy who's, you know, probably going to be convicted for what he should be convicted for.
I think Bill Maher, again, is showing classic Trump derangement syndrome because I watched the debates, and I've watched a lot of those clips several times. And like during the debates, pretty much everybody has trashed Donald Trump, including Ron DeSantis. The only person who didn't is Vivek Ramaswamy. Chris Christie just seems like he has a hate boner for Donald Trump. Like, he's like going off about Donald Trump constantly. I don't even know what the hell his policies are. I can't even remember because all he does is talk about Donald Trump so damn much. And I'm like, dude, you want a freaking private room with Donald Trump? Because he's starting to remind me of, like, you know how little kids, they like a little boy likes a little girl, so they like pick on her or something. That's kind of what it feels like with Chris Christie. Like, he's a freaking slob. And I just don't like this dude's attitude. He doesn't have a good attitude outside of him and Donald Trump, much less when you add the Donald Trump weird fetish thing that he got going on. I'm like, bro, you need to chill. Talk about some damn policies and stop eating so damn much. Yeah.
And I'm sure we agree on this, Candace.
Definitely sure we agree on this.
About, you know, trying to overthrow the government of the United States.
You're just not like, you're not a weak enough person to really like. I don't buy this. I think you dance this way because you think you have to placate.
Okay, first of all,
No chance.
Just to
think
educate
that we
you.
almost lost America on January 6th. Like, I just don't buy that you're that soft.
Yeah, I do. And just to educate you a little. on this.
He's got to be capping. He's got to be capping. It's so hard to fathom that people think like that there was some sort of like true insurrection or a coup. A lot of people call it a coup, and of course, insurrection is the most common term. I'm like, nobody even had any weapons. Like, nobody had any weapons. Like, going into the building, you're allowed in the building. Nobody had any weapons on them when they went into the building. Like, the main person who got killed was a lady who she was shot by security. So they didn't go up in there shooting and killing staffers and congressmen and women. Like, that never happened. That's what an actual coup would look like. It's happened historically. Okay, it didn't happen here in America.
I was saying this for 5 years when everyone was laughing at me for saying this, that Trump would never concede the election and he would never go away. I was all alone on a raft.
But I mean, you saw BLM riots, right?
Yes.
The summer leading up to this, right? Where like I lived in DC at this time, where you couldn't go outside, cars were flipped, things were burned, people
Yeah.
were boarding up their
Oh, yeah.
windows. But you thought the end of democracy, you can say this meaningfully in face, happened when people above the age of like 65 stormed the Capitol. Like you thought that was the worst thing you've ever seen in American politics.
Well, I mean, what was the worst scene? That was a small part of a bigger picture. The worst thing was that finally we had a president, after all this history that we've had, nobody ever did this, not Al Gore and not Nixon, who probably didn't actually lose their elections. They allowed this peaceful transfer of power to happen. We finally...
So wait a minute. So you're telling me that this dude is straight up got election denial for Nixon and Gore, but when Trump loses, all of a sudden is fair? Like, you've got to be kidding me. This guy is a complete nutcase. Like, this is one of the reasons why I don't like Bill Maher. It's like, for a guy who's so smug for other people's lack of ability to think critically, he sure as hell has a lot of biases and doesn't think critically himself. Because this sounds ridiculous. Like, you don't know how the Electoral College works? Because that whole Al Gore thing, like, he definitely just lost because of Electoral College shenanigans. That's how the Electoral College works. That's how it's always worked. It's probably going to stay that way in America. You're going to have a whole new country or something in order for it to be different.
We had a guy who decided, of course, because he's insane, decided that no matter what happens, I won this election. There's only two things that could possibly happen. I win the election, or if I don't win the election, there must have been some cheating. It was looked at by his own people around him, including the Homeland Security Department, including the Director of National Intelligence, including every court, federal and state, including his own lawyers, his daughter, Bill Maher. Everybody told him, you lost this election. They looked at this over and over again. Even the Republican vote counters, like the one he called who said, find me 11,000 more votes. Even those people told him. So plainly, he did not accept losing the election, and then he tried to put in a bunch. This is why he's on trial.
I'm just asking
it's not
if
for
you
lying.
believe that day, as the media presenter, we're talking about media hoaxes.
I give you my answer. It's not just that day, although that was part of the scheme. I mean, it's not like coincidence that they showed up on the very day that they were certifying the vote at the very place they were doing it to stop that from happening.
And
That's not a
did you have any
coincidence.
questions about why the FBI hasn't been able to find, since we started with media hoaxes, do you think it's strange that they haven't been able to find who dropped off the pipe bombs the night before? Because I think that's the strangest piece.
What pipe bombs? Oh, this is some
No,
red herring
no,
bullshit.
it's not. No, not red herring. This is in the news. You can watch the CNN, MSNBC. You know, remember the night before on January 5th, there were pipe bombs that were set outside of the RNC and the DNC headquarters, right? And this was a part of the whole thing, that bombs were about to go off, but they were able to, get the bombs out. This is why, AOC said should have fly for all this stuff.
I mean, yeah, and mysteriously, nobody knows how they got there, and there's no video footage. I mean, nobody knows anything. And I put it to you this way. This goes the same thing for that crack that they found in the White House that people think I'm going to forget about, or that maybe the rest of the Americans going to forget about it. But I'm not going to forget. But crack in the White House, we don't know what happened. Pipe bombs at the Capitol. We clearly got cameras every damn where at the Capitol. There's all this footage of January 6th, but nobody knows how the pipe bombs got there, even though there's cameras everywhere. I just don't buy it. Okay? Like, there's something fishy is obviously going on with all of this freaking nonsense.
I'm asking you, do you have more pressing questions about why they have not been able to find the person that dropped off those pipe
I will
bombs?
have to look into that the way you'll have to look into the moon thing.
Okay.
Because
I think that's a very big piece for a lot of people of just understanding what actually happened on that day.
As I said before, I don't trust the media on anything because they never give you the full story. Yeah. So I will
He's
allow
right about one thing.
that there could be this element to the story that is part of the story. I don't think it will probably change my mind that Donald Trump would not concede an election, kept saying it was a fake, and that he had all these reasons to believe that people had voted, like 10,000. He said to the Raffensperger on the call, Raffensperger actually corrected him and said, you claimed that there was 10,000 dead people who voted in Georgia. We looked and we looked and we looked. It was 2. That sums it all up. There was actually 2. Now, he's not on trial for lying. You're apparently allowed to lie to the American people about elections, even though nobody ever really did that before. But okay, he's on trial for breaking specific laws. Forgery.
Well, I mean,
forgery.
Before Stacey Abrams
He
contested
forged
her election and said that it was.
Well, that's
Yeah, right here in the state of Georgia, Stacey Abrams never even conceded the gubernatorial race against Governor Brian Kemp. And then, of course, after he had a great track record, she got her ass smoked in the second gubernatorial election, going up against him again, which I think was just foolish. She might as well just waited till later after he decided he wasn't going to run for office no more or something, because she wasn't going to win. This was after lockdowns and all of that. And not to mention Hillary Clinton with that whole Russia collusion nonsense that turned out to be totally false. If you haven't seen anything about that, definitely please look that up. I haven't made any videos about it yet, but maybe I will if the demand is there.
So let's be.
Yes, but okay, you're right. Yeah. I concede.
Okay. Hillary Clinton took a very long time. I actually don't think
Hillary Clinton was there before the night was over in her purple suit conceding the election.
She slept in.
This is what actually happened. Before they even get into it, I'm telling you what actually happened, because I remember. I got a good memory sometimes. Hillary Clinton conceded the election, then afterward started saying that the election was stolen and that she really won. That's what happened. She even recently started talking about how Donald Trump was going to steal the election again, working with Russia again. I'm like, why the hell is she even still talking? So, yeah, she did concede, but she reneged on the concession.
You're wrong.
No, I'm not
You're wrong. John Podesta came to the podium and said,
it was before dawn of the next day.
Okay, my point is that saying that there was
you
that
lost
there were
your point.
No, I didn't lose my point. My point is that you're saying
about
that
Hillary you were. Hillary conceded as soon as it was obvious that she lost.
The thing that I'm trying to get you to say, though, we know that you hate Trump. That has been abundantly obvious.
Yes,
I
we
actually
do.
think that Trump out of office
for good reason.
Was a good thing for your show, because it allowed you to.
It's not about my show, Candace.
No.
That's insulting.
No.
That's insulting.
I'm saying because people that weren't watching your show, that you didn't let me finish. You can't be insulted by sentence I didn't finish.
No, but you keep
I was going to
implying
say that
I'm
people that did not watch your show because there was so much dedication to talking about Trump during those years, then were switched onto your show because you moved on and you started talking about other topics that were crucial, and I think brought in more of a conservative base.
Can we
That's
just
not insulting
can
to
we
say.
just yeah, it is. Can we just have this professional courtesy that I concede and I believe you believe everything you say.
Yeah.
Give me the same courtesy.
I said I believe you hate Trump, and
you're saying I'm doing things for ratings or to bring in a different
I didn't
audience.
Even bring up ratings. I actually believe that literally amongst my audiences, more conservatives started watching you post Trump.
Yes.
Myself included.
But that's a big.
That's not bad.
Isn't it saying that a hit dog will holler? And his ass talking about that's what he's doing right now. Hit dog hollering. Because he looks like a freaking idiot. I'm like, look, we all know that, look, the Trump derangement syndrome got you pretty far after Trump left office. You had to move on to do something else. And a lot of people didn't even do that. Look what they're doing now. You know how many people, I've seen other people reacting to this clip. Again, talking about Donald Trump again. He got Trump derangement syndrome again. He brings up Trump all the time. And I've seen all kinds of his shows where he brings up Trump all the time. So Trump is making him money. And yes, of course, not talking about him constantly is gonna. I mean, Candace is right here. You know what I'm saying? But he's probably mad because there's truth to what she's saying. That's usually the people. You ain't never gonna piss nobody off like when you tell them the truth about themselves. You're never gonna piss them off like when you do that. I'm just saying.
Sorry, I said you got a bigger audience now. My gosh, you're going to call yourself the more people like me.
No. You ascribed a reason to it that's not true. I do have a bigger conservative audience and a less woke audience, probably.
Yes.
More people who are common sense centrist. Good, fine. I didn't do it for that reason.
I never said you did it for that reason. I said
I
did not imply that.
Okay, fine.
I didn't.
All
I genuinely meant what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I really
when Trump
think.
got out of office, you started focusing on different topics other than Trump. And people were able to see that.
Well, he wasn't president anymore, of course.
I'm not faulting you. I'm just making a comment that I think that your audience base has gotten a lot bigger since Trump left office. Some people might even take that as a compliment.
Different.
Crazy, but some people might take this as a compliment.
Thank you. Well, for that part, yeah.
Yeah, because you're talking about, like we just talked about, trans kids and bringing up geography and things. And I think that while Trump was in office, and this is not just your show, it was even my show. I think everything was about Trump. everything was about Trump.
I agree.
Right? And it wasn't. It's never been that way for any other president. Never, and not everything was about
Because
Obama.
other presidents weren't a nut like that.
We have definitely. I think I believe that there, and we can disagree on this. I think that from the second he announced that he was coming down, there was a media obsession with taking him down like I've never seen. It actually woke me up. I was on the liberal side, and it turned me into a conservative. It was vicious. It was nasty. It was calling him things that he wasn't.
There was,
you
but
didn't
that's
participate in that. But pretending
was,
that Trump was like a avowed racist that was trying to bring back the Klansman was a little bit like dramatic. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that compare Trump to the Klansman, the Red Dragon, Hitler, Nazi, white supremacists, all of these negative, extreme things that you could think of. That's what they keep calling them. And that's one thing I've seen about how brainwashing works. Like, a lot of the time, if you say something enough, then people just take that as the value. And they sometimes even have this pea-brain logic. And yes, it absolutely is pea-brain, where they feel like, well, if everybody else sees it, and they're calling this person this name, then why aren't you doing it? Because I'm not a sheep. And the rest of us humans should not behave like sheep either. That's why. Because we should be enabled to make our own personal assessment without basing it off of what the media keeps repeating, what all of these entertainers and influencers keep repeating, and so forth. Actually base it off of the merit of the person. Because if you look back through Trump's history, everybody who was black, they used to love him before two things happened. One, he said he was going to run for presidential office. And two, before he became like the face of that whole birther movement, which Donald Trump didn't even start, by the way, but he sure as hell finished it. Because he kind of screwed up on that one and kind of probably solidified himself as being a racist forever, because he was saying Obama wasn't from the United States and he was from Kenya and all this stuff. So that's a negative mark on him, because that was hella stupid for Trump. So even though I support Trump, I'm going to vote for Trump, I don't support that. I think that was dumb as hell on his part. And I'm still a little bit confused about why he would even do that to begin with.
You know?
But that happens with every president and everybody who gets that high up in the tree. You know, when I don't know how far back it goes, probably to George Washington, when a person is the one who's going to be in power, the people who want to prevent that, who think oppositely of how he thinks or she thinks, yes, that's what they do. They try to destroy. They didn't try to destroy Obama.
Not in the way that they come on Trump. You had the Lisa Bloom period where you had
Candace.
85 million women that came out of the woodwork with allegations. And where were you guys? He's been in the public sphere for the last 30 years. He's had shows. Where were you guys with your allegations before he announced running president? I mean, it was so obviously a ratchet job. And these things matter to you because it doesn't matter.
One of them's on
it doesn't
tape.
matter. It doesn't
One
matter.
of them's right from the horse's mouth saying, I grabbed pussy.
He didn't say I grabbed pussy.
He did!
He said he was talking about groupies. He said they will literally let you do anything, including grab them by the
He wasn't
P
talking
word.
about groupies.
Yeah, he was.
He never said that word. He said when you're a star.
Yes.
That's quite a leap to say we're just talking about groupies. And by the way,
if you're a star, you're inherently talking about groupies. If you're referring to like what you can do with women, obviously, if somebody's a serious contender for dating partner or girlfriend or wife, then you're not talking about grabbing them by the P word. You're just talking about some freaking groupie who you don't give a crap about. This context matters, guys. And I feel like, why does it seem like he's so disingenuous? This has got to be just peak. This is what peak Trump derangement syndrome looks like, when you can't actually look at context behind anything. It's just always like guilty from the slightest infraction. I guarantee you any Democrat does these same things, and all of a sudden context matters to Bill Maher.
Say I grabbed this woman by the P word, and I think that's a part of when I say there's so many media hoaxes. Just be honest.
He said you can grab him by the pussy. He said you can grab him by the pussy.
Yeah.
And you can do anything. You can grab him by the pussy.
Yeah, these girls, when they see a star, that's literally, by the way, just to be clear, that's a fact.
But just to be clear, you shouldn't do that.
But
right?
you shouldn't. Yes, but let's just be honest about what he said. This is locker room talk. Men talking about, I hang out with a lot of athletes, about women that throw themselves on them simply because of who they are, and they'll let you do anything to them. But we do live in this
just to put
economy of women who will quite literally let men, especially now with the birth of OnlyFans and TikTok and the rise of becoming a star, that if you are a star, they will let you do whatever they want. And then the media pretended he said, I personally went in and grabbed a woman by the P word. It's locker room talk. Is it crass? Yes. Do women also speak crass when men aren't looking? Yes. I'm very much, I'm not saying this is great speech, and I would love to hear if my husband was saying this about, but I'm just trying to be rational and not be like me too crazy and acknowledge that both men and women have locker room talk.
I have an important question. Where can I find these women?
I'm sure you've had your fair share.
Yeah, right. Anyway, guys, I think that's that's pretty much the main thing I wanted to react to. I mean, this whole thing is like I said, an hour and a half long. So I haven't even watched the full thing myself. In this particular part of the clip, I had never even seen. So I got to the part where I wanted to kind of start it off, and I'm like, okay, here we go. So anyway, y'all, look. Like I said, I mean, I feel like it speaks for itself. You kind of see how Bill Maher just kind of ignores all the context. He's like, orange, man, bad, I don't care. Okay, he doesn't care. He's like, he's guilty of all crimes. Doesn't even know any of the facts behind the crimes. He's probably not paying attention to any of the court proceedings. I probably know more about the court proceedings than he does, even though he's actually getting paid for this, and I'm not, at least not yet. So, it is what it is. It's kind of funny that Candace Owens was so easily able to trigger this man. So I definitely enjoyed that, even though they obviously got over it for the sake of the conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing him get really triggered when Trump went to this damn election. Can you imagine a meltdown? Oh, I'm already getting templates ready for this in terms of videos. Man, look, y'all better stay tuned. Subscribe if you want to see it. Okay? So look, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you do. I appreciate you guys watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.